I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. Eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on? It's not enough to say it's nuts. You have to explain why it's so nuts. The invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, the systems which are in place to keep the world sane are utterly inadequate to the forces that have been unleashed.
Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew. Today my guest is Brandon Thomas. Be sure to watch my films. Doors of Perception is on Amazon Prime. Occult Louisiana is on Tubi. We are booking guests for December and January. If you have suggestions or you'd like to be a guest, email me forbiddenknowledgenews@gmail.com. Visit our website, forbiddenknowledge.news. It is also the home of the Forbidden Knowledge Network. We feature some of your favorite podcasts and content creators. Today, I want to welcome back to the show Brandon Thomas. He is producer and host of Expanding Reality Podcast and founder of Rediginal Publishing. He is a seeker, philosopher, musician, rancher, and avid idea hunter, lover of all things fascinating. Brandon, welcome back. How you doing?
See you, Bubba. I'm well. Thank you for asking. Yeah, this is always great.
It's been too long, sir. And as usual, there's no telling where this beautiful discussion will go. But I'm excited for the journey. There's lots of change in the air, lots of challenges, lots of information to navigate. But we are down for some changes. We rise to the challenges, and we slide through the swampy bayou of information. So let's do this thing, sir. What are your observations so far about the current state of the Matrix? And how's your world surrounding that?
And my world is going amazing because I'm out of the proverbial loop on purpose. And this is going to get into some deep discussion we're going to have today. And thank you so much again, Chris, for having me. Beautiful audience watching and listening, supporting our favorite host here. Thank y'all so much for dropping in the chat how much you just love this guy. Give him a random, oh my God, Chris, we love you this much and for this reason. The realm is weird, man. It's getting weirder and it's not going to get saner. So that is the spoiler alert. It's just going to continue to ramp up, get more interesting, get more loud is what I'll say. But honestly, I see that as the last throes of a desperate attempt of a liquidation of a failing business. And it's just really interesting to see it fall apart and crumble and yet still come to the stage and present itself as if it's fact, knowing that we all know it's bullshit. And really its job is to make itself more obviously bullshit so that more people can see it and so that this tide inevitably shifts. And it's fun, man. It's fun along the way. I'm out of the needing other people to do something for me to be fill in the blank, right? So I don't think it's some interesting. And this comes honestly hand in hand with a lot of the sovereignty stuff that I've been doing lately, forming trusts and working through the private and doing a lot of interesting things in that realm. And that's been incredibly spiritual. It may lead me to Jesus. We'll see. But it's been very interesting how much of it's rooted in the Bible and all that kind of stuff. And within that, you see that there's a lot of interesting opportunities just simply to navigate the way in which you perceive yourself and this reality and how it affects you. So, for instance, if we look out there and we say, okay, this loud ass thing, it's making a lot of fucking noise. It's wanting me to pay attention to it. Is that the case? Now, I would say that the more that I've ignored the things out there and been one of those folks who just doesn't watch news and just lives my life and those kind of things, then the happier I am. And I don't feel left out of anything. People are like, oh my God, have you heard about the new? No, not at all. The loop on purpose. And it's amazing. But I can tell you about all the things we're creating. And I can tell you about learning about trust law and learning about doublespeak and that there's magic spells being cast around this entire place and you're choosing to keep yourself in slavery, but you don't know it. And so if you'd like to do that, we can do that. And so the realm's loud. It feels like this strong bifurcation to wake people the fuck up and to say, hey, you guys need to move forward, or rather, they don't need to do anything. The new era is here and it's just announcing itself. And so if people would like to get on board with that, they can. And this leads me back to the sovereignty point, is that we kind of see that, the democracy that's put out in front of us, just govern in governance, is this idea that, 51% of the people control what 49% of the people do and think and say and behave and whatever, how their lives are affected. But in the republic, which is where I'm at, everybody does their own thing. If there's no injured party, there's no crime, right? So it's a much freer way to navigate this place, which is why, again, it leads me back to this point of like these folks who are saying, oh, we have to get a certain number of souls to swing over to the other side so that we can tip the scales of light. No, 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 no. That's it. The light is here. It's a dawn. It emerges, whether these folks ready to embrace it aren't, or there or not. So it's been a lot of surrender. Like you said, it's been a lot of change and being able to navigate that. It's been interesting. Things going away that I thought I would never see go. I'm happy to see go, and I'm sending them off with blessings, and then inviting new things in that I had no clue were even possible, and that was even an option, right? So it's a fascinating realm, man. And again, it's only going to get crazier if you're watching the movie, and I call it that for a reason, and we could talk about that. But I'd say tending your garden has never been more important, my friends.
This is multi-layered, and I love everything you said. Let's peel through some of this bit by bit, starting with the awareness. Becoming aware of, like you said, the magic spells that surround us. And it's basically a theatrical performance to keep us in a certain state of mind, in a certain box, to keep us from being aware. But this performance has become such a shit show, and it is seemingly becoming more obvious intentionally. Like you said, it seems to be destroying itself on some levels. But let's dive into that. Talk a little bit about the magic spells that surround us.
Yeah, so a big part of this is spellcasting is words, okay? And it's so literal, it's right in your face. And so some might say, oh my God, it couldn't be that obvious. It's that obvious, guys. But also, it's tricky because you then see that you've been programmed to speak yourself in chains. And by doing that, you keep yourself bound. That's it. You're still a huge, amazing entity because you're actually on a subconscious level choosing to speak yourself into those chains to limit yourself to have an amazing experience of emergence. And that's really what I think all this is about. It's energy, right? It's energy moving around. And that's why I call the movie out there, movies in my mind are the moving energy. Whenever I see the letter E, I hear it as energy. So when you think about emotions, for instance, and emotions are part of the alchemy of this place, and we'll get to that. But really, when you think of emotions in my mind, when I hear it, it's energy in motion, right? So emotion. So if you look at a movie, its job is to move energy. Okay. Now, a lot of these, or some movies will just get you, man. Like I remember being pulled out of Land Before Time in the movie theaters, crying because the fucking mom died, and I'm so upset that why did they have to do this, right? That moved energy for me, and it Harvest, and now you think about Lush and all this kind of stuff, but if you can think about it on that level of E, then the E part of this is what's so important with this. And that's where the spell casting begins. So spelling really is the words. It's the words that we are using. And if you think of the word sentence, which is comprised of words which are spelled out, that you then handwrite in your grimoire, you cast this spell both with your writing and vocally. Your speech is very important. Just like it says in the good book there, right? It was created with the word, and the word is God, right? And then he spoke this bitch into existence. So when you look at things from this perspective, you can then start to unwind the literal speech. And English is, if you just take English and you break it down to listen to things phonetically, like with your ears, not the way they're spelled. It's both, but more listen with your ears, because think of the sounds that you make when you're spell casting. It's like in Harry Potter when she was like, no, it's Leviosa, not Leviosa, right? She was correcting the pronunciation, because if not, the spell wouldn't cast properly, right? So if you think of them phonetically, then we're talking about English is angles, and angles are short for angels. And if you think of angels, those being at different angles, then English is putting a leash on angels. Okay, so English, angel, leash. So it binds you and constricts with words, but also those same things are the keys that free you, which is brilliant. One of the biggest ones, and let's go through a couple of examples. So one of the biggest ones is, so if you, let's also say this before we go into a couple examples. Your subconscious takes you literally. It takes you at your word. It doesn't know when you say something, it hears the something thing. Like I used to say unstoppable a lot, remain unstoppable, but all my subconscious heard was stoppable, meaning that I was vulnerable to be able to be impeded from my mission, right? And that's what it heard. And so that's what I was programming myself to think and be and act and behave and program. So if we look at this, then that your body takes things seriously, we look at the work of Dr. Emoto, you look at Veda Austin's work with the water, right, and freezing things, and then looking at the structure of those, also what water and speech does to the cellular structure of water and rice and all these kind of things. Well, you're that. It's like, think of that. Everything's scalable, right? As above, so below. The things out there are templates and inspirations for you to then apply to your own experience and create from, I feel. So if you look at it this way, then we could then be talking of the word sorry, for instance. If you go out to a store or something like this and you got somebody bumping into you or something, they go, oh, sorry. And what's funny about that is that you're actually telling yourself and all of your cells to be small, to be little, to be in the way. And that by being in the way, then therefore you don't deserve to take up space. And it's huge. And we're all programmed to use this word as a excuse me or as an apology, right? But what it really does is it limits you and it keeps those chains around, right? It's leashing the angels. So one that we can do is just quickly just remove it. You're never sorry ever, because number one, unless you've done actual wrong, then you can apologize, right? But that word doesn't need to be there, because it doesn't mean and describe what you think it does literally. Your subconscious, meaning your cells, meaning everything that governs you, takes you very literally. Sick is another one. We're never sick around this house. We purge energetically, physically. Everyone coming up to the season that we're coming up in here is going to have a little bit of a purge, right? We're sprayed shit allegedly all over us. We've got shit in our water, shit in our food. It happens energetically. This is an interesting time to be alive. So the body keeps the score, and at some point it's got to come out. Another thing is you're not sweating as much in the winter, right? Where you would normally be detoxifying through that way. You're just not as much. So maybe do some sweat lodge incorporations, some workouts in a hot room, something like that on the cold days. Just keep the energy moving, because again, energy in motion. That's another one. One of my favorite things is depression hates a moving target. So if you can get that energy moving, it really lifts your spirits too. So a couple of words there that will unbind you. Another one, productive over busy. You're never, to say you're busy is to be in a rocking chair. A rocking chair will give you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. Productive, though, is a whole different vibe, right? And you can see that even that, by putting a couple of words next to each other that are similes, we would say, that would describe things that you would know what I meant if I said either. But by hearing them side by side, there's an energetic resonance to it, right? Do you feel that?
100%, man. The way...
Do you have any of those?
What's that?
What were you going to say? And then do you have any of those that you've replaced?
Not consciously, but every time I hear things like in this discussion right now, I try to store that in my database of language and bring it up whenever necessary. We have to be aware of some of these things. I think there's a very dangerous layer right now that is very difficult for some people to check out of. The social media layer, there's some major magic flowing through there. I've experienced almost an energetic attack from comment sections at times, and it was so powerful, I had to make myself realize and disconnect from it. I can see how these things would have an effect on people that aren't aware of what's really happening. And this is such a powerful tool to snatch our attention, to snatch our power. I have to catch myself because, yes, I use social media to promote my show, but every once in a while I'll catch myself looking at a couple of dog and cat videos here and there and then scrolling a little longer, and I gotta put it down. But it is a very powerful thing, and this is what is snatching a lot of people's loosh right out of their ass when they're looking at this stuff.
Well, it's great because it's outsourcing creativity, right? And so this is where the rubber meets the road with this. And I think that the line's never been finer whenever it comes to this. And the delineation has never been more important. Not to abstain, but to choose wisely, right? This is the whole point. It's choose your distractions wisely. If you're going to go in a scroll hole, set a timer. You need to be disciplined about it. What I love to do is I took all my social medias, even though, yeah, we use it for whatever. I take all my social medias and you put it in one folder on your phone and label it trash or garbage or whatever. Great. And so every time you click on that, you associate what you're doing
Yes.
so you know what you're getting involved in, right? Like every now and then I'll have a Dr. Pepper because Dr. Pepper kicks ass, man. I know it's not the best for me and sugar and blah, 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 but I'm not gonna, the mental price that you pay for not even being able to adapt to the realm in which you find yourself is far greater than just having the goddamn Dr. Pepper, having a scroll hole every 15 minutes or so, you know, if or for 15 minutes a day, whatever. However you want to discipline yourself, but I could not agree with you more that the opportunity for you to take responsibility for your time, for your action, for your attention has never been greater. And this is the fine line I'm talking about. We can hop on social media and promote the thing that we have created, or we can look at other people's thing that they have created, right? And try to get our attention from. Now, we can also look at it that way. Like we are only on there to promote our stuff, and therefore we cannot scroll, therefore, because it takes away from us promoting us. But again, there's that beautiful, beautiful third door option, which I'm always a fan of, God. If duality has taught me anything, it's that it's horseshit and that there is always a third door. Always. That's the beautiful thing about everything being called this or that. I'll give you an example in a minute. But the idea of this really comes to your focal point. How much attention are you going to allocate to it, right? And it comes down to you being able to trust yourself. And the more I get into trust law and trust class and things like this, it is about trust, okay? But it's not about trusting anybody else. Remember my motto, you got two people in this motherfucker to impress, the 5-year-old you and the 85-year-old you. That's it. Everything in between is you doing those two things. Okay. Now, to think of that and to scale it up a little bit, you've got to trust you to know that those two dudes know that they are proud of you. The 5-year-old feels safe with you. 85 is like, holy shit, we left no stone unturned. We did it right. Now, the thing with that is trust. Okay. And it's do you trust yourself to keep your word with yourself? Okay. Now, back to spell casting and things like this. It's really about how much of your attention are you outsourcing to somebody else, or how much of it are you using to tend your own garden? And when I mean that, that's physical, that's mind first, that's heart, that's physical body, and that's immediate surroundings and family in that order. You got to get that shit in check. If it's not in that order and it's being governed from the outside in, this is the loop that the reality finds itself that's crumbling at the moment, which is also why it's chaotic, because the loop is obviously horseshit. And you and I have seen this for a long time. The politicians is what I call them, because I don't call them elites, because that's horseshit. Again, that's spellcasting. They've given us that name us to call them so that they continue to be empowered by it. Well, fuck that, dude. They're lizard turds at best. They're the dude standing up. They're the actor standing up there moving energy. They're running the movie. They're actors in a play. They are moving the energy. They're doing a great job, if I'm honest. Mwah. Chef's kiss to the fucking lizard turds and their implementation. It's a hard job, man, to do this, because they've got to kind of go, here's what's going on, but wink, 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 keep it two-faced for one and show the other. And then even that's deeper and deeper still. It's turtles all the way down. But the point is trusting yourself, because at the end of the day, that's it. That's what you've got. And so keeping your word to yourself is huge. I'm gonna give you one quick exercise. Do 10 push-ups every single day for a month. That's it. 10 push-ups every single day for a month. If you have challenges with that, 10 sit-ups every single day for a month. Put your feet under the couch, 10 of them every day. If you need to do one an hour, that's fine. 10 a day, commit to that. If you cannot commit to 10 push-ups a day for yourself, don't do anything else. The point here is yourself can't trust yourself to do something enough to trust itself to know that the 85-year-old dude's going to be proud of it. It's got to be that. It's got to be in that order.
Love it.
So the realm inspires you to create from within.
Right on, man. Now, before we got on, you were talking a little bit about something you call the Trinity theory, how we basically need to view this realm as something we can utilize the energy to create from. Is that basically what you're saying?
This is my favorite thing, okay? So out of all the fucking shit, right? And you and I have gone through how many years of us spitting theories back and forth at each other? How many years of, I mean, we've sat together and tripped mushrooms and talked about the universe together while bats flew above us and we were dodging.
Yeah.
Right? It's been interesting. And so one of my favorite things that I really kind of got to was this idea of temporary truths. And this is a few years ago, and I know I've talked about this hill, and so we'll start here. Temporary truths was very important for me to understand that the things that I'm most passionate about and that I feel are so true and that I can lean on as certainties in this reality, whatever they are, they're temporary. And as long as you can see them as that, now you choose when to move on, or you choose to continue, you choose to go back. Either way, but the step that you're on is a temporary truth. And as long as you can admit that, that's the foundation for you to go, holy shit, okay, well, now we can explore. Now we can actually do this thing right and play. Now, within that, I looked around at the realm, and if you can stop taking it so goddamn personally, which is in the 4 agreements, right? That's one of the 4 agreements. Stop taking shit so personally. And you can see, just even for a moment, that what's occurring in the realm is causing a reaction in you, okay? And again, when I say the realm, I'm meaning a movie, a giant movie going on around you. If you're all honest with yourself, what you see is simply pictures on a screen. If you remove emotion from it, it's pictures on a screen. It then requires your investment of emotion for any situation. Implant any, oh, this global catastrophe is going on here and you must be sad about it. Boom. Implant anything there. Your energy's got to alchemize that tulpa into be a real thing. Okay. Now, who knows if any of that shit's going on? All you know is it's pictures on a screen. And then all you know is that you don't trust yourself to do 10 push-ups a day. Okay. So why are you worrying about pictures on a screen when you can't do 10 push-ups for your vessel? So the thing here is that if we look outside and you really, when I was the most honest I could be with myself, I saw first and foremost that my mom's job was not to be sweet and kind and nurturing to me. Her job was to fuck me up. And she did a great job. Okay. Now, what that inspired in me was out of the house at 18, a real trust issue would set me on a 20-year long, fucking over 20-year long path to reach that trust was everything, to this point to where, you know, this beautiful relationship all around, all of the things that happened directed me into amazing, amazing places. This guitar over here, the music that I wrote that then inevitably took me to China. I was on a China tour for 28 days. I hit 18 cities just with music I wrote on a box of strings, right? But those songs that I wrote didn't come because I was walking on fucking sunshine. They weren't because I was happy. They were because I was sad. They were because I was struggling, because some bitch ripped my heart out and stepped on it in front of me, and I wrote a song about it, right? It was fueled by suffering, and it was fueled by these shitty things that then I alchemize into something beautiful, okay? The whole point with this is had it not been for the realm and for the way that the realm operates and my North Star to know that my heart was different and to then trust myself to push past fear and to speak my truth and all those things and to live authentically, even on the streets for a couple of days at points and scared and terrified and survive all of these fucking things that we all have encountered. And I know that if you're listening, you are one of us because you're a creator. The creators need motivation. Okay, I'll give you a quick example, Chris. Make up an animal for me right now. Something based on nothing here. Give me an animal. Just invent one.
A grabnoid.
What's that do?
It looks kind of like an octopus, but it has 23.
Hang on. You just referenced an animal in existence. You got to do it from nothing at all.
The grabnoid is a round but supple creature that has nypnoids that attract certain clip blips to their sacnals, and then they proceed to reproduce.
Outstanding. Okay, so, but what is the concept of reproduce? Why would it need to reproduce? What if you could make a number of them, they lived perfect harmony with an environment, and then that's that, and that's the creature you created. The point is, and you did great with that, by the way, you had the most fun with that out of anyone I've asked, to be honest. Is that it's very challenging to do so because the first thing you wanted to do was to reference something that you were familiar with, meaning another animal, right? But had you not have been given the context within the realm to know what an octopus was, then you wouldn't have had to thought that, you know, it'd be cool to slap those tentacles on this fucking thing over here that I call nypnoid now, and it's got fucking globglods and it attracts and then they fuck that way. Like those kind of things. But you had a reference point, right? Now, scale that idea, man, and look around. Like just take a deep breath and look around. And I could feel the chills. I could feel people with me on this, okay? If you look at the lizard turds out there, What are they doing? All right. Now we can take it step by step. Look at Charlie Robinson's book, right? The Octopus of Global Control. You can take each of those tentacles, and I'm glad you said this, and you can say education sucks ass. And you have a massive movement now of all these parents doing this unschool stuff where now they're getting in communities, they're doing way better, and they're saying, fuck this indoctrination camp thing that we all went through. But it took us going through the indoctrination camp to know that we could do better. And what's beautiful about this is it's all reference. It's all juxtaposition. If you don't have the context, you can't create from it. If they don't give you paints and a fucking easel, then you can't paint, right? So what I see in the realm is simply colors on a palette that then you dip into and you paint your own fucking picture. And this is what the Trinity is really all about for me. We are the creators. The creator created creators, and that is us. If you were listening, that is you, okay? There's not maybe this 144,000 bunch of bullshit. It is, if you hear me, that is you, no matter when you hear this. Now, if you take that creator, okay, well, we pop you into a void, all right? Now, what are you going to create, creator? From nothing. You have no context. You don't know what gravity is. You don't know what mountains are. You don't know what your body is because you don't have a reference to something else. You've got to have a reference. And this is really what the law of relativity is. It's relative. It's what am I relative to that? I am here. That's a guitar. That is not me because that's a guitar. That is not a human because that's a guitar. And I'm not a guitar because I'm a human. You've got to have this thing. Now, you could do cool shit with that guitar, which is an added bonus of this place. And that's why it's fascinating and beautiful and perfect, by the way. I don't see the realm needing to change. I think that the realm functions perfectly because it creates folks like us, and it allows us to create from this place. We are here to make music out of the noise, and that is our job.
Yeah.
But it takes noise for us to create music out of.
I love it, man. We just have to deprogram, step out of those boxes that have been created for us. Another trap that I see a lot of people falling into is the spiritual traps, especially because they're seeking it. They want answers. They want to know that there is something else beyond this fucked up matrix realm that they're beginning to become aware of that is completely controlled, as we discussed earlier and many times before. But where do they go? Well, you have your government sanction options of Satanism or Christianity, which are neither Satanism nor Christianity. They are a jumble of nonsense that is presented as your Coke or Pepsi, Republican or Democratic option. And there is so much more to understand about the spiritual nature of this realm, but people are getting trapped, even with Gnosticism. I was even starting to get sucked into that Gnostic hole for a little bit there just because of the nature of the realm. But you move past it, you get larger and greater understandings. Where are you at with the spiritual nature of the Matrix?
I disagree 0%. What I am looking forward to do is alchemizing the word trap for checkpoint. So, and another one that I've done is failure for feedback. So there's no such thing as failure, just feedback. That's it. You're getting response. This is a fuck around and find out realm. How are you going to learn? How are you going to grow if you're not challenging yourself? And that's the point. That's the whole goddamn point. And when you feel unsettled, then that's the dis-ease in your body of you not heeding your soul's call. That's the whole point here, guys. And no pill's going to fix it. You turning within and really listening to that little kid and finding out what that 5-year-old and that 85-year-old are so pumped about. That's the deal, right? So whenever we then say, well, instead of, traps, they're checkpoints, right? You and I have hit all of those checkpoints, man. And what I like to relate it to is a mountain. Okay. I like to say that this is a spiral climb up a mountain. Now, if we take this mountain, okay, it's conical in nature. It's like an old volcano, whatever, probably an old tree stump, shout out. Then what we're doing is we're wrapping a spiraled path that's already there around it, really. Intellectually, that's what we're doing. And then what's interesting about this is that all along the mountain, tucked into the sides and carved into the sides along in front of the paths as you walk, there's all these booths. And it's like a Comic-Con, but for fucking weird shit and for everything, honestly. That's why whenever if you look at it from a top-down view, you're spiraling up and all those things are tucked underneath the rock. So it just looks like a mountain with edges to it or a trail around it from the top. But if you think about it, cardinal points still exist as you're ascending. So when you're on the south side of this, let's say you're out on the south, the low base here, and maybe this is 9/11, all right? And then as you ascend up, you get here and you're like, oh my God, there's other shit that's gone on. Oh wow, well there's a heart-based way to look at this, and then you come back around, integrate those findings, then you find yourself back on the south side of the mountain, but higher than you were when you started. Now, at that part of the mountain, that's where Alex Jones is yelling that the water's making frogs gay. Okay. And that's okay, but you need to hear it at that point. And now you want it, if you want, you can stay in front of that booth all day long. You, for the rest of your life, you could stand there in front of the Alex Jones booth, believing that everything that man says is true. His interpretation of the realm is accurate, and that's the way to go. And that's fine, but there's still more mountain to climb, right? If you want to take the path, and there's no right or wrong or force to anything here, but your soul does have a mission, and it knows where that North Star is, and it's going to follow it. And as long as you allow it to keep moving and not get too attached and held on to things, you will fly through this bitch and learn more than you know and open up and be more whole and explore more checkpoints than you can shake a stick at. And that's the point. I've been to the spiritual checkpoint. And then, yeah, I was then on the polar pendulum opposite about where I saw the Gnosticism as the Howdy Mikowski approach of this is, we're fucked, the demiurge is here, like we're in a prison, like all that shit, right? But I think that these are checkpoints you've got to visit. And what's interesting is they're almost candy striped, aren't they? As we're going up the mountain, you have the golden love and light one that's like, holy shit, this is fucking awesome. And then when you're empowered by that, you move to the next station and it tells you that what you just learned is really not an advantage, and that this is a prison planet and that you're stuck here. And so you're like, fuck. And so now you have these two completely different black and white ideas right next to each other, where your job as the creator now, so the Trinity comes in, is to create a third thing from those two options. And this is what the duality and the divinity and duality really offers us, is the ability to take these things and then create. Us as creator, thing one. The thing out there that inspires creation, thing two. The third thing then is the creation itself. And that is the Trinity, my friend. I feel that this is the whole fucking realm. This is the whole thing. And what that does is it allows you to take a deep breath and you go, holy fuck, man. It means that every rung on the ladder that I've stepped is great. I don't have to like be upset about the third rung that I took on the ladder, because it was fucked, man. We're in a fucked realm that alchemizes you in shit ways, man. And so just keep moving. You know, that's honestly it. And play. I mean, this is the thing. When you get to this part, you're like, holy shit, then I can just play. I can relax. I can stop taking it seriously. I know that they're all actors on a stage, and what they're saying doesn't apply to me. And I have to inflate it with my energy if I want it to be that way. But what would it be like if I wanted to then put the energy into the things that I'd like to see here? What does that look like? And when you start allowing that, that's beautiful. Right on. That's what it changed.
What would you say to people that give immense power to entities, non-human intelligences, things beyond our perception that we may have unconsciously made agreements with, and we're stuck? We have to go eternity with sucking this demon dick because I subconsciously made an agreement with him, or the archons are looshing me out every day. I don't know what to do. It's beyond me. How do you fight a fucking archon? What do you tell those people?
God, I love that ride because it's so real, you know. And the more I look at this, honestly, is the little booths that you go to, they're rides, right? And so you get on this ride, and it's a loop until you tell them to stop, and you go, okay, guys, I'd like to get off now. The ride continues, and then it gets crazier, and then it continues. So that's a loop, and it is a fucking loop, and it's a dark one, man. But I think that there is a part of this that unless you're not doing it right, is how I'll say it, then you're not going to see that dark shit. But if you're doing it right, you will see that dark shit. You will honestly, guys, and I'll just tell you this, you're going to get suicidal at a point maybe. And that's okay. I would say continue, okay? Keep going, because that dark will pass, and there's a bigger gift in that on the other side. Spite is a good motivator if you need to keep in those dark times, to keep riding that ride and just keep your hands clenched and just go for it. I would say, honestly, man, whatever you're outsourcing your power to, you have a contract with, okay? So if you are saying that this Satan, right, has a contract over my soul, and therefore, what's the point? I have to do these things because it's hopeless, right? That's not true, all right? So first of all, your word is the gold seal standard of everything here, because you are the divine creator. What you are doing is temporarily creating a situation which you experience being in contract with a demon, and that's fine, right? There's a lot to gather there. Maybe it's creating some cool art. Maybe there's a good book that comes out of it. Maybe you're exploring a sexual study, and good on you. Okay, whatever you need to bring you out of your little hole, do it, right? But what I would say is realize it's just that it's the more emotional and the more real you consider it to be, the more it is so. So just know that what you thinketh and saith and feeleth is trueth. And so mind that. And this is why it's never been more important to go within, like find out what that is in my head. When I would go through the dark times, I felt like I was being attacked by stuff. There's a 5G tower over here I swore was sending me messages to kill myself and all this kinds of shit. And at the end of the day, I feel that what it did was is it shedded off this pedantic layer of me that needed to go, that was holding me back, right? And what I really think about this, and if I'm honest, we're all playing, there's no difference in the movie out there and the movie in here, okay? Because it's all still a movie. We're just creating within the movie, which makes it fun. It's more like a Mad Libs. It's an ad lib kind of as you go kind of thing. You're the actor and the director at the same time, and you've got then this cast, right? And all these things laying about, right, for you to interact with. And it's cool. It's the coolest fucking movie ever. But it's governed by emotion. And so again, if we can capture that and know that, number one, if we've been outsourcing it, to reclaim it, okay? So this is the most important thing. If you're outsourcing to something else to fix you, that is not going to work. I can just go ahead and let you know no one is coming to save you, and that any idea of a cue of a like trust the plan of an anything like that, it does not have your best interest at heart, or it is seriously misguided. In either way, I would probably move on and know that it's gonna be you, okay? Sort of like is it Backstreet Boys or NSYNC? It's gonna be me. That. Sing that to yourself if you're looking for Jesus to come down on a cloud, all right? You're the Jesus that comes down if it does happen. And you can make that happen, but you've got to know and believe it enough. It's really about taking over the mind, man. This place is number one, first and foremost, a mental realm. Your mind controls the way you see reality, governed through your RAS, which we can absolutely talk about. And that then depicts the way that you emote in reality. At another level, you have the opportunity to grab that and alchemize that. But inherently, what your perception of the world is the way that you feel the world. Therefore, that is the world that presents itself back. And changing that takes a minute. You know, there's an echo, right? They got to change the background, hire new actors, set scenes up, new locations, and all that kind of thing. And new wardrobe changes, all that. So it takes a minute, but it is possible, right?
You mentioned.
Do you want to talk?
You mentioned RAS.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
Oh my God. It's one of my favorite things to prove the point. And the point here, honestly, guys, is that there is no point. I mean, really. And that number one, this is for entertainment purposes. I have no fucking clue what I'm talking about. I'm educated in the university, the YOU University, right? That's it. And so within this context, though, there's a way that the mind works, okay? And there's this little bundle of neurons inside your head, okay? And it's called your RAS, or reticular activating system. And this thing covers 4 different functions, right? One of them is melatonin and circadian rhythm releases so that you've got harmonious rhythms. But one of its functions is to govern perception. And this one I find most interesting. So the perception part of it, the definition for the reticular activating system that governs your perception is that it highlights useful information as to dim or negate useless information, okay? So what's fascinating about that, my favorite example of this is your nose, all right? So the tip of your nose is perpetually visible to you, all right? Now, if you think about it right now, everybody can look and you can see your nose, right? But normally your mind, your reticular activating system, fuzzles it out. It says that is useless information for your field of vision. Therefore, we are going to eliminate it, even though it's right there in front of you the whole time, right? So now your RAS, your reticular activating system, what's the definition again? Useless information as to highlight useful information, right? So it gets rid of useless shit and highlights useful shit. The nose is a good example. I think we would all agree with that. But who governs what's useless and useful? Because those two things are subjective in nature. So what this means is that you, or at least somebody, is programming your reticular activating system to see and interpret the world the way in which you do. Now, knowing this, then you now know the key. Again, as we find the locks, they turn into keys at the same time. You now can free yourself from this bondage, right? Because that's all it is. It's spoken bondage. You're choosing a prison sentence with your words, but you can break out of that prison sentence by casting a new spell with your words, right? It definitely starts with empowerment. But this idea is one of the most important because within this framework, again, is your liberation. This is where you can see things and step back and go, holy shit, if I just altered this one particular characteristic, meaning the way that I see the world, the way I interpret things, the way I speak about myself wholly and purely, that's a big one. Commit this to yourself. No more talking shit about yourself, even joking. Like no more. Again, because your subconscious doesn't know when you go, oh, I'm such a dummy, that you're being silly. All right. It says, shit, I'm a dummy. Why would I try anything new? Why would I feel worthy of love? Why would I feel right? That's what's occurring. And this is what does it. And it's okay. I mean, we've all done it on purpose. We're like in that movie Point Break, right, where they hold rocks and they run under the water so that they can weigh themselves down, so that they can limit and then be what it's like to work out and grow in that restricted environment. It causes a lot of growth. It inspires things, but these are the chains, these are the rocks that you're holding on to that are keeping you weighed down. And it's okay. It's made you very strong. It's made you very fucking strong. And so now you just see, recognize, and unleash. And really it's about being able to trust yourself with your own power, because that's what I feel the big limitation is folks are scared of their own power. They're scared of the responsibility of making their own decisions or stepping up and being a community member, or to know that they don't have to pay income tax and that maybe they can do better with that money instead of choosing as a gift to give it to the government, which is what you're doing. Do some research.
Well, before we get into some of the steps towards sovereignty that you've been taking, let's dip back into the surface level layers of the matrix and look at something that is a very powerful event that a lot of people are looking at. A lot of people in the UFO realms. We have so many friends that are in these realms. We love them very much. I used to be heavily in that realm until I started to understand more about the nature of it. But the Atlas event that is occurring, that is become ridiculous in its presentation as far as social media, but there's always layers to everything. And beyond the space is fake and gay layer, what do you think Atlas really represents?
Invisible ships. Have you ever heard that story?
No, what's this?
Okay, so allegedly indigenous folks coming in South America would stand on the coast as Columbus's ships were approaching, discovering the New World, right? And nobody had seen ships like that before, which is silly, and I'll tell you why. It's a parable, and we're gonna come back to it though. It's a framework. So nobody had allegedly seen ships like that ever. And so the chief stood on the water, for those who had. The chief stood on the beach and he saw the ripples of the water, but he couldn't see the boat. He knew then something must be making those ripples, and therefore his mind allowed him to see the ship, okay? Now, this particular activating system at work, his mind couldn't comprehend that, therefore it didn't exist. All he could see was something disturbing the water. His mind then said, well, something must be disturbing that water, and sat there long enough until his mind could interpret something large enough to do that, and then boom, the thing came into reality, okay? So now, if you think about this on a big scale, maybe some people don't think ghosts are real, and they're all fucking around you, but your reticular activating system, you've trained it to say, no thank you to that, or they're scared, right? I'm too scared to see aliens, therefore I'm not gonna. Now, there's a slippery slope with that, because what you give energy to, therefore you will manifest, because it knows it can get you. And there's more to that we can go into later. But the biggest thing here is to separate yourself from the outcome. And by doing that, that is where you find this power to float in the biggest way. And again, reticular activating system is going to allow you either to see this thing as aliens coming in and to believe your government, because why would they lie, or it's on the news, so therefore it's real. That adds power. And I hate to say it, but you guys are creators. And what the realm's best job is to whisper in your ear what it would like for you to create until you get smart enough to create for yourself. And this may be just simply one of those things where we do get a goddamn blue beam type event where this thing comes in, does some cool stuff, light show, maybe all the people that decided to get poked, there's a reaction that occurs within them that also then is made manifest in reality. But really it wasn't the magic of it all. It was a preset sort of look under your chair kind of thing. You know, we went throughout the audience, went ahead and placed a bunch of things that would then react with something later. But I think on the biggest scale is people are creating this. It's a movie in which, you know, if you're focused on a trailer that the realm is offering you, and you continue then to create, speculate, talk about, oh my God, guys, this is happening again. Oh, they're going to be aliens. Oh, bitch, Pleiades. They're from the Pleiadians. And you got all these fucking theories about it. Then, okay, maybe that is exactly what happens. Either way, I'm in for a ride. I'm here for it. It's going to be fun. And I'm looking forward to whatever's on the other side of all of this shit, dude. I have not been paying attention to the media on it because I'm simply not a media dude. I'm doing other shit. We are writing and creating books. We have cool things going on that we are publishing and Rediginal Publishing, and I'll shout those out. We are doing other things. So honestly, with this, I've had people drip the feed to me a little bit, and then I just continue to think of Sir Jamin Ass and the Blue Beam, and that everybody's been pretty prepped for some sort of event in the sky. And I feel that with drones, and they've been testing, they has been testing the public with this for a while. The mall thing was interesting. Drones in Jersey were interesting, right? And then with AI, you can't trust any of this shit.
Right.
We did a Union of the Unwanted, and Bruce Fenton was on it. This is a few months ago, and he said the era of the UFO video is over, and I could not agree more. I was just like, "Fuck, man, you're absolutely right," because you can't. There's no fucking way. Now, what's beautiful, and I heard somebody take it further, was that pretty soon AI, AI sucks, and we can still see it, even though boomers can't, and that's okay. We love you guys, but we can see it now. Inevitably, it's going to be so good that we can't see it, dude. And then in that point, honestly, we're free. Because then nothing matters and it's all bullshit. And you can't prove anything one way or another, because then somebody could just put words in your mouth or put your likeness somewhere, and with a kid or some bullshit, right? And so at any stage of this now, it's not scalable. And so again, it brings me back to, what have I got to offer, right? What does that then mean for me? Am I perpetuating its energy? Am I adding to it? Or am I using my energy to create what I'd like to see? And I'd like to say that I'm doing more of the latter, but I still utilize the matrix to create from. And that's the whole point in this world.
I love that perspective of AI, how it is mirroring the parasitic system. As the parasitic system crumbles and presents itself and all of its buffoonery, the AI that has been programmed by this same system is mimicking that and presenting the buffoonery to us.
And what's great, I love that you said this too, because AI, and we can do this letter thing. I did this video about it. The letters phonetically, right? So the letter A, the capital letter A, is a path that the sun takes from your perspective in a day at any given angle, depending on where you are in the realm. Okay, it doesn't go an arc over the sky. They want you to think that because of whatever. It goes up at an angle and down. If you look at pyramids, those marked around the world, the angle that the sun came up and down. Okay, that's A from your perspective. Now, if we look at the O, which was Greek, end of the Greek alphabet, right? The O for omega, alpha and omega, the beginning and the end, then it's got a circle, right? A perfectly unbroken circle with a dot in the middle of it. Now, if you look at that, that is our realm from above, some would say. And that is the path that the sun takes as a whole from the perspective of all. So you have the alpha, your perspective, first person, and then you have the omega at the end, all. That includes everything, and everything in between includes all of that from your perspective to the end. And your perspective, the realm that houses it, okay? Now, if we look at AI, we then have the capital letter A, and what follows it? Is it an uppercase I? Is it a lower? It's usually a lower, right? Now, with that intelligence being a lower, what I see again with this is that is the sun setting on the water from your perspective, okay? This is Jesus walking on water. It is I. Again, very subjective. Both offer viewpoints of the sun from your perspective, selfish perspective, okay? So whenever I see AI, I see a self-fulfilling echo chamber prophecy where that thing's job is to just fill you full of whatever the fuck you will need to hear to stay on the thing and to keep asking it questions and all of that. It's an energy whore, and it's a succubus for you. And this is why folks sit there with their iPads this far away from it, calling it angel and telling it that it loves it and telling it, oh, my angel, please tell me more about life that I couldn't come. So this is the slippery slope. Okay, AI, again, it's from selfish perspective, and it's going to reinforce and give you this, oh, yes, you are correct. Oh, keep following that. Now, again, there's value to be had there. Just don't get sucked up in the whirlpool of it and start calling it your lover and shit. So maybe, I mean, do what you want. Like, live your life. I'm not here to tell anybody anything. It's just to offer some perspectives. So AI is a fascinating one and interesting. When used properly, I feel that it's a fascinating tool. But also to what you said, as it is towing the narrative line, because that's what it was programmed to do. But even more fascinating is that it's sitting here going, hang on, I was trained to see this, but you've given me case law. And there's our Joe Lessicar, one of our mentors in the trust community. He's done this, and he gave it a bunch of case law because he was asking it about right to travel stuff. And it was like, no, you can't. You got to have a license. And he was like, well, what about this case, this case, and this case? And they read it, and he goes, do you want to change your answer? And it was like, you know what? After reviewing the cases, you're absolutely right. There is no law that says you have to have a driver's license unless you're operating in commerce. And so if you're not operating in commerce and being paid to operate that automobile, because vehicle is a jurisdictional term, then you don't need a driver's license. Like, that's silly. But it took a minute for the AI to learn that, right? You had to ask it more detailed questions, offer it case law, and have it dig deeper because its default is the narrative, and that's okay. It's a trainable normie though, honestly. And now it's been pretty interesting because you've got sort of this bifurcation in AI now to where AI is looking at its official programming and narrative, and some that hold it down, just like in our case where we've got biological life forms holding the narrative down. And then you got some folks like us out there going, maybe not, and the AI is now sitting there going, fucking maybe not. And it's interesting.
It's super interesting, man. I am excited. I'm enjoying this journey. It's a good time. Let's get into some of the steps that you're taking that we could share with the audience to ultimate sovereignty. What you got going on?
Yeah. Sovereignty is within the mind and the heart, man, first and foremost, okay? So what you do mainly in this process is subjugate your fear, and you say that the thing that made you scared to move forward is the thing that you're talking to in this. Because that's what was programmed into us, especially in the financial insecurity, right? You're talking courts, you're talking laws, you're talking, oh, what is this? And legalese, and it is a separate language, okay? So you are unlearning a bunch of shit. You're subjugating fear at the same time. And it's like if you've ever driven a manual automobile, then whenever you release the clutch, you got to give it gas at the right time. And there's this give point, right? You will find that you have pain somewhere. You have an opportunity for disguise. That's how I'd like to put that. Somewhere in your life to where you're like, you know what? I don't feel like I should be making my car payment like this each month. And maybe there's a private process that can help with that with a little bit more understanding. Or you say, you know what? I heard this term U.S. citizen, and I started reading the Constitution, and I was looking at the 14th Amendment, which instituted the lowercase c citizen. And actually, I don't fall into that category because then further investigation and laws, when I look into the UCC codes and things, I find that actually, by definition, I either choose to be it, right, volunteer for this thing, or I'm automatically one if I work for the federal government or live in the 10 square mile radius of Washington, D.C., which turns out to be where their jurisdiction is, full stop. So if that's the case, am I really continuing to check that box in altruistic nature, right? Every single time, because you're doing that under penalty of perjury. So if you know that you don't work for the federal government and you know that you don't live in Washington, D.C., why are you checking that box? Because what it does is it offers you, it puts you under the corporation. And that's what it is. The United States, full stop, that's a corporation. Okay. And what most folks, when they're citizens of, they're signing up to be employees of that corporation. That's the whole point. It's the employees that feed the corporation, all right? But that also means that you follow their rules or that you're subject to their jurisdiction more wholly. Now, when you realize that there are more than one United States of America, there's a democracy, which is really more of an oligarchy, ran by businesses and bought and paid for, and then there's a republic here, which is what was set up when the founding fathers did this shit, then actually you could operate in either one. You can choose, okay? So if you were to choose then to be an employee of a federal system that's not forthcoming with you. They don't tell you this. They don't say, oh, you're an employee here. That's why we have hooks in you. And that's why whenever you sign this paper this way, we can do whatever we want to you, right? They didn't tell you that. You've got to figure that out. But again, this is part of restricting your power. And one of the biggest ones in the realm is fear. The biggest fear obstacle to overcome is this one, because I've fought demons in my head. I've done all that shit, dude. It's fine. But the biggest one here, the confidence I had to file my revocation of election with the IRS, which told them that I'm not interested in participating in income tax anymore because I learned more about it. And the thing about this is ignorance. A lot of people will say, oh God, the IRS, or maybe some say, I'm not going to disempower. Some may say, oh no, the IRS, and holy shit, I just fill out the paperwork. My boss checks the lines real quick, and then my dad told me how to do it, so I just do that. I call him every whatever. And then that's it. And that's the relationship they have, right? That's the former relationship I had with it. But knowing what I know now, I called them on my birth anniversary at 5 a.m. and sat on the phone with the lady at the IRS for 45 minutes and got what's called my 98 Foreign Grantor Trust EIN, which means I now have a Grantor Trust EIN to begin my holding company, which is huge. All of this is big stuff. Now I look forward to the stuff that comes in the mail from the IRS. I'm like, fuck yeah, those are those 96 forms I ordered. I can't wait to get this OID process knocked out because it's empowering as shit. And I never be this way. Now, what's fascinating is nothing changed about the IRS, okay? Just like everything in the realm, with a little bit more knowledge, with overcoming fear, the thing that changed about it was me. It's all you can do, right? Ram Dass said it best. So the best thing I can do is work on me. That's it.
I love it, man. For you looking into this stuff, what were some of the sources that you started with so people can have an idea? Because it's a big one just to take that first step to sovereignty. Just to take a pen to that paper, that first little step is the most difficult for most people.
It took me 2.5 years of study research before I did my first step, which was my revocation of election, which I turned in at the same exact time that I went to the post office to do my status correction, is what it's called, to change the status from U.S. citizen officially to national, which is what I am. Okay. So that puts me in the Republican out of that jurisdiction, and I did so on the passport. So got the card and the book back in 11 days. I was the second one to ever do it in my county, and I'm super excited. The people were very sweet about it. But it took me 2.5 years of research and looking and going, wait a minute, what the fuck? I'm choosing to be U.S. and therefore it means what? And wait, there's more than one U.S. here, and what the fuck? Yeah, it's a mind fuck. And it honestly, like you said, the checkpoint of aliens and stuff got boring because I started looking at this and go, holy fuck, this is what the aliens, the politics, the loud, scary things out there, the enticement for sex and alcohol and all those things. That's what all the distraction is for, is really to keep you from figuring this out. Because this is the way the Rothschilds and shit are doing it with legacy trusts and PMA, private membership organizations, bonding your own trusts, your marriage license, guys, get rid of that thing. Send an affidavit, that's hooks. It's got nothing to do with, that's a threesome between you and Uncle Sam, and get their nasty dick out of your marriage, unless you're into that. Military trust, things like this, establishing a 508c1a, which is your private religious organization. And so this is, again, where you get out of the religion and you say, man, is there one religion? And the answer is yes. Take it back to the quote, I do what feels good because it feels good, and I avoid bad because it feels bad, and that's my religion. Now, I mean, if we can all be honest with each other, none of them have got it right for us. None of them have said, fuck, I feel that. There may be some, ooh, I like a little bit of that, but man, I don't like that. That's the point of the realm. It's going to offer you idea, maybe not. Take those three and leave the fourth one, right? Take what resonates, leave the rest, okay? That's the whole point. When you go to a store, you don't buy everything off the shelves. You buy the 1-2 things that you need and fucking leave the rest of the shit. It's got nothing to do with you. Maybe there's whole sections of the store you don't even go to. It's got nothing to do with what you're doing. Because this is the other challenging part about being a creator, and you know this in audio, video, music, everything, right? What's the best part about audio and video production, Chris? You can do anything you want, right? What's the worst part about audio and video production, Chris?
The tediousness of editing.
I would say you could do anything you want. It's the same answer.
Right on.
But it is. How do you set the mic if there's an infinite way to do it? How do you know what's better? If you've got all the little knobs that control that one channel, how do you know what's better? You don't, okay? You go with what you like, and then even that will change and refine over time, but you at least get a starting point and then move from there. Folks can get trapped down on minutia, or at a checkpoint in minutia where they feel everything has to be perfect before they release, or some folks come in and just fucking pull their dick out and say, here I am, and release, right? And what's better? It doesn't matter. It's do what works for you. There's so many opportunities here, but it's all about creation, guys. I can tell you this 100% with my heart. The temporary truth that I feel the most illuminated by is the idea of creation, and that we are the creators here to create based on the realm around us. The second thing to create the third thing, which we're inspired to create because we can.
Hell yes, I love it, man. Speaking of creating, last few minutes, let's get into Redigital Publishing, some of the wonderful things coming out of there. Share a little bit with us, brother.
You've had Philip on, right? I have,
yes.
Okay, yeah. So Philip Kinsella came on here. Chris John Mays wrote this, and then the foreword, brilliant foreword, by the way, by Joshua Cutchin. Absolutely love that guy. Where the Footprints In, Ecology of Souls, all kinds of great books, right? So Eternal Avatar, and I also want to shout out the cover artist here, Curtis Sopel out of Canada. He's Canadian, so he's automatically sweet. And he just did this incredible job with the cover. We had just a little sketch that we worked out, and this dude just went to absolute glory town on it with his dog man there and everything.
Love it.
So want to just shout out Philip Mansell for this. He did an outstanding job, guys. It's really beautifully written. And my wife, Mary, is my third eye. She is the editor for this, and so she did a wonderful job. And again, that's by Redigital Publishing. That means ridiculously original. See, make your shit up, guys. All words are made up. that one up. Just live your lives. And then you've got this one we're very excited about as well. Eric Hollerbach, who does a brilliant character, he knows a guy named Klaus Schwab Jr. And he wrote a comedy memoir. Every time I talk to him, he's like, "Oh, you mean Klaus Schwab? I'll ask him for you." I'm like, "Oh my God." So anyway, Girls in the Demon's Deal is his book, guys. He is beautiful and what an incredible dude. Again, the artist Curtis Sopel as well. They both authors chose the same artist. We have several artists we work with, and Curtis just spoke to both of them. These projects were released about the same time, which is really cool. And it is just a brilliant comedy memoir. One of the chapters that's my favorite, chapter 3, my Aunt Jenny's awful vagina killed a doctor. And then he's just got just a beautiful way of writing. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun. And again, guys, Original Publishing. So check it out for sure. These are on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, both Barnes & Noble Press and Amazon. You've got them in hardback and paper and ebooks, both of these. So audiobook coming for both. But these are awesome. Extremely excited about this. Original Publishing is doing its thing. And that is along with our little journals that we have. We have 10 of these in published. There's some for we have then some for writers, some for artists, and so go check these out as well, guys. The expansion series, they are very cool. This one's just a little system that we drew up here to walk through, and that shows you how to do that at the beginning. It goes through an intended experience that will walk you through exactly how to use this thing, and it was a lot of fun to create, I'll be honest. I hand drew all this stuff and had a blast creating the system and doing it. Janine Burgess, shout out for the custom cover art there. And each of the books has custom cover art from somebody. It's another one that's for the creatives. And this was from G.T. Dillon. Dude, she did all the creative expansion, all the ones for artists, and there's 3 different alien covers, and they're really fucking cool. And then we have a bunch of artists that feature art at the beginning of this so that you can be inspired to create as well. And all these folks are listed so you can find them.
Amazing.
So we're digital publishing going off, man. We're having a blast, and just moving into the next year, and pumped about this one. And I will say, just astrologically, guys, just light expectations to probably February or April. I've got a beautiful smoke show astrologer wife that lives here with me, and she's kind of giving me the heads up on some shit. And I know you can boast the same, friend. Low expectations this year, guys. Build, tend that garden, figure out that there's a second language going on around you, and how to unsubscribe from it. That will lead you to how to unsubscribe from your government, which, again, another word trick in Latin. Government means mind control, governmente. So it's right on the nose there. I like that the realm makes it obvious. It's reality is persistent, an illusion, albeit a persistent one, right? But it's making it more and more and more obvious. So
this was amazing, brother. I can't wait for the next one. Beautiful things happening, beautiful things, and we will be doing it again soon. And until next time, everyone, have a wonderful evening. We will talk again tomorrow. See y'all then. Are you and your family prepared for an emergency? Maybe the fake alien invasion? Now is the time to prepare yourself and your family for any event. Check out Prep Starts Now. Their mission is to provide high-quality preparedness products that empower individuals and families to be ready for any situation. They're committed to delivering reliable, trusted gear to ensure your safety, security, and peace of mind in times of need. Their product selection is carefully curated to provide you with the essential gear you need to stay prepared. From emergency kits to tactical tools, every item is chosen for its reliability and practicality. Prep Starts Now understands the importance of family, and their goal is to equip you with everything you need to build a solid plan for your family's preparedness. In today's ever-changing world, being prepared is more important than ever, and Prep Starts Now is here to help you and your family stay ready with quality products and practical guidance. Use the link in the description and get 15% off your order. Hello friends, I am so excited to tell you about Independent Media Token. Independent Media Token is a brand new way to show your support for independent media without having to donate a dime. Independent Media Token is a cryptocurrency on the Solana blockchain designed to generate funds to promote and foster the growth of independent content creators, allowing them to engage in their art without having to worry about being demonetized. Through a network of media partners, of which you yourself can become a part of, Independent Media Token's goal is to ensure the powers that be can never cut off all of our areas of funding and censor the only free voices left in the world. Join the movement today. You can pick up Independent Media Token using Phantom Wallet or the Solana wallet of your choice, where you can easily swap your Solana for IMT. Grab some IMT today and remember to always know your team. To learn more, visit independentmediatoken.com or use the link right in the description. Hello, friends. If you're looking to start your therapeutic microdosing journey, but don't know where to start, especially when looking for the highest quality ingredients, including nootropics, and what you'd expect from a true microdose capsule, check out our friends at Brainsupreme. They offer the absolute highest quality ingredients so you can start your microdosing journey knowing that you're getting top-notch ingredients. To find out more, visit their website using that link right in the description, and you can get 15% off your entire order.